It is nice and spacious.
For New York standards, it is.
So we're recording this. It's the end of Q1, and it's the first time everyone got together. What was that feeling like as the founder?
Yeah, a bit of a feeling like, whoa, a big responsibility. A lot of people depending on us as a leadership.
Everyone can have a say, and everyone can speak up. How do we work together cross-functionally internally as well?
And what we set out to build is a partnership, and it's so much more than a word. Let's be honest, we're in the hospitality industry. That means being hospitable.
I think one of the biggest learning is the communication part. We were the ones who were willing to pick up the challenge, come up with a solution. If the orchestra goes out of sync, we get them back in.
We talked about the edges from Brady. What's your take on this?
By the time this drops, there's going to be an article written by you called The Edgers. Do you want to be the dude?
Yeah,
or
the
do
man.
That? Yeah. You don't always have to be. When you know the goal is not to be the one, and you're coming in to do your job, and you take pride in the work that you do, and the whole team is bought into that, that's when magic happens. You see the game at a different level, and things flow so beautifully. It is nice and spacious.
For New York standards, it is.
True. Could do with some windows and some
Yeah,
lights.
so I've heard.
There was a corner office,
Oh, there still is.
Yeah, at some point.
Let's grow.
Working on it.
Huh. Ooh, coffee. Good idea. Cheers.
Cheers. The coffee here is not bad for a co-working space.
A lot of things in this office are not bad for a co-working space.
I know. You like our little pretty background we got with the plushies? You should make it go like that.
I do. What's also quite clear is the booze, and most importantly, my nickname, Robbie, loves me.
Or it could be that's where I'm from. Both work. However you want to take that case.
You know me.
I do know. Awesome. Well, wanted to sit down, and we haven't done a founder chat in a while, so I thought it'd be fun since we have you in New York City for a short time to chat a little bit, because we've done a lot of cool things. As we're recording this, it's the end of Q1, or just about the end of Q1, and we've been putting a lot of cool things in place. Most notably, for the first time ever, Omniboost had all of its employees from all over the world in a single place for our town hall, our all hands.
And the beautiful city of Middelburg, for all of you that know the place, Netherlands.
We got to host it at one of our clients, Vandervalk.
Yes.
Which was an awesome location. So tell me a little about, you've been running the company since 2017. I've been around for the last 5, really involved in the last 2. And it's the first time everyone got together. What was that feeling like as the founder, finally getting to see this happen and come together? What was that like for you? What was the experience like? How did it make you feel seeing the whole team and to know that we're at freaking 50 people already?
Yeah, initially proud. So doing the opening and actually seeing all the team members there from all across the globe. It's the first time that we did this one. So also coming to the opportunity where we could actually afford flying the team members in. And basically setting pace. We were quite late. We were setting pace for 2025, but that's Omniboost. We're always going against the grain. Simultaneously, also, a bit of a feeling like, whoa, that's a big responsibility. A lot of people depending on us as a leadership, doing the correct things. That's like what we always say. Is servant leadership, making sure that everything is up and running and correct. People taking a leap of faith with a startup, going to let's call it to a scale up. But primarily a lot of pride, and still the feeling that we shared on a couple of occasions that we're just really getting started. I think what we've done over the last couple of years, where the vision was, is let's make sure that the stack is there.
Yeah.
And that's also, one of the things with the outside world, we're dealing with, let's be honest, with investors, is sharing that strategy. We're very lucky with our investors, understanding what we're doing, setting the pace. But also coming to the conclusion right now is that it's safe to say Stack will always be evolving, but we've done some decent groundwork, and that's finally what we're seeing also from the engagement and the sales perspective. Is what we set out to do is basically never to be forced to come with a no. Doesn't necessarily have to be the 100%, but we can actually make shit happen. So a lot of pride.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think for everyone there, the feeling that just being and seeing the team, because we're always on team calls, we're always jumping in on a huddle, and we have the headquarters in Terneuzen where we have
Terneuzen, yeah.
we have majority of people who get to work with each other and see each other, and obviously some of the leaders fly in on a regular basis. We have the satellite office, the team in Utrecht who come down, but just to have everybody there, the energy is quite palpable.
Yeah,
and that was something that I really enjoyed, getting to meet and hug some people that you've seen on Teams 1,000 times over the years, to kind of see them in person and vibe out. And then, we had all of the leadership had a chance to get up and share their vision for 2025 and beyond, which was great, but also a lot of great feedback and engagement from the teams, even, interns stepping up and asking questions, and the kind of fostering that openness across the organization. It's hard to do when you grow, but when you're hitting 50 people.
That was actually the cool part. It's good that you mentioned this. Seeing the interns feeling so freaking comfortable and having the safety to stand up and ask questions. Even what we shared about core purpose, why are we here? That even interns were like, yeah, it might be a bit lengthy, and can you explain? It was really cool.
Yeah, I thought so too. And just to be able to be in a place where we fostered a bit of that culture, where everyone can have a say and everyone can speak up and feel comfortable. And, we make a conscious decision to not make things anonymous, to have pride in asking a question, having pride in giving feedback. Sometimes the feedback isn't always easy. It's not always good, but the fact that there's pride to share that was something that was highlighted to me is something that was really awesome to see the people step up.
Yep. Yeah, correct. Also, proper moments to be mindful is that we're never gonna lose that culture, that DNA. That's if you talk about like what kind of feeling did it give you? Is let's be honest, we grew significantly in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Added a lot of complexity in the organization. Heads up, people. On an onboarding process, like with every startup, scale up, there's some work to be done. So where you need to be careful and mindful is that you're never going to lose that DNA. Why did you set out becoming the company that you are?
Yeah, and that's really, it's something that every company struggles with, right? Because the company you are at 2 people to 10 to 20 to 50 to 100 will always change. And the culture will change with that. But the DNA and the way that the company, what we do well, what we are and who we are continues to evolve. But we never lose the core DNA. And that's something that is
correct,
not easy to do as a founder, as a leadership, as a company. And it's something that I think was really cool to see, that we've continued to evolve that. And we'll continue to evolve that as we go from 50 to 100 in the next coming months.
Yeah.
Hopefully 8 months.
No,
right?
But it also came to mind. Mike and I, for instance, did the Riser program when we initially set out. And we always had a tagline, world freaking domination. Bit aggressive. Internally can still uphold. But like we said, we're a platform that enables the others. So also there, without being soft, do have a willingness to serve. But what Mike and I asked with guys who made or set up unicorns and the likes, on how to keep control of an organization. And that's where usually those founders came in and was like, control? The fuck are you talking about? Control? That's negative. Your culture, your DNA, that's very important. Mm-hmm. And also let's reflect on the conversation that we had over beers yesterday. It's what I like is a typical US type of approach, but we're a European-based company.
Yeah.
So there is a culture gap. And you need to be okay with the culture gap. We need to understand each other. I think the big thing what we spoke about and what we also addressed during the town hall is cultural differences, yes. Being true to yourself, yes. Ego, no.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting because we talk about that at a personal level, like we did over beers, and that not only in
opens up the conversation more fluently.
It very much does, right? But we talk about it at the base level in terms of the way we speak and work with internal teams, but it also translates. We have customers in 85 countries. And so understanding that internally allows us to understand that externally and provide different levels of support to different countries and regions and adapt our level of how we communicate. And I think that's something that will continue to evolve and grow. And it's amazing that we continue to have those conversations around communication, around cultural differences, around how do we continue to scale as a global company in different markets, the way we look at Europe, the way we look at North America, the way we look at Latin and South America, the way we look at the Middle East, all the way out to APAC. Understanding those things and making sure that we address those internally and externally is going to be key to success as we pride ourselves on our ability to onboard and support. We're the glue. We're in the middle, right?
That's what we learned yesterday.
We are. And we learned that not only through what we know, but through our customers, our partners telling us this. Because so many times being in the middle, being the platform that enables, questions get directed to us, and we have to be able to maneuver conversations and troubleshoot quickly. And that's something that we continue to evolve and learn. But it's something that opens up so much on the conversation around how do we work together cross-functionally internally as well.
That's what we discussed. It's not only internal, but it's definitely also focused on external. But that's the, if you tie it back to our culture, our DNA, there shouldn't be that big of a difference. Because whether we're going direct on an enterprise type of deal, work for a big chain, big management company, or have amazing partners, what we establish and what we set out to build is a partnership. And it's so much more than a word.
Yes.
It's a behavioral trait. And that's what I love most about every single individual within our organization is we adhere to that principle. And that makes me as a founder tremendously proud on what we're doing.
I think it's easy to use partnership, just like with everything else, a buzzword. But when you truly develop partnerships, that's where, even looking at our market, the way that we go to market, working with partners, starting with channel partners, growing into direct relationships and driving direct conversations with not only partners, but we're looking at hotel chains and management companies and restaurant groups. The partnership, the word is more than just, hey, we're selling you a service. We're selling you all these things, and we're consulting with you to bring that across the line and really be your partner, because this is not something that's you just going to have for a year. It's something you're going to have hopefully for the length of the operations, because we'll continue to improve. We'll continue to grow our integrations, our connectivity, our platform to provide even more value, even more service. And that's why we look at partnerships deeper than the word partner.
That's why we also state it's consultative SaaS. Yes, we're there to provide a product, a service, but it's also part of where we actually listen. Is we understand that sometimes a question for a specific product or a solution or whatever is not a real question. If we really wanted to be selling just a product, I would have founded an e-commerce platform and started selling products. But that's not what we want to do. We want to engage. And let's be honest, we're in the hospitality industry. That means being hospitable. Like the book that Fran shared with us, Unreasonable Hospitality. Those are the things that really resonate with me as a founder, and what I also see with my, let's call it the management team, and every single team member out there, is that's what we do. The biggest learning that we need to do is not overdo it. So it's not about, we shouldn't be, I think the word victim, that's my lack of proper English language. That's something that's, we should be staying true to ourselves. And let's be honest, the product that we've put out there is freaking quite unique.
Very much so. So we talk about the product and the uniqueness, and we talk about consultative SaaS.
You do need to buy the wireless.
I know. But tactile. I'm tactile.
Yeah, I don't like karaoke.
Neither do I. So when we talk about the unique product, we talk about consultative SaaS. I think there's an interesting piece of like, what does that actually mean? And when you look at the product we create, hospitality, right? We do integrations, but we do more than integrations. We do connectivity. We do full-on unification. We eliminate data silos, right? But when you look at
buzzword. Yeah.
Exactly. But when you look at the process, it all ends up in accounting, and hospitality accounting is very unique. And we talk about consultative SaaS, and we know that the product is 85% out of the box, but it's that 15% that it needs to be flexible.
Yeah.
And so when you started out and we're building that, and as we've created the culture on that, how have you adapted your philosophy around what it means to consult? Because this is where we listen. This is where we actually make a difference versus an out-of-the-box product in the marketplace. When was that key learning for you, or where was that kind of light bulb where we really need to be consultative and do things a little bit of, we've always talked about Omniboost goes against the grain, and that's part of our DNA.
Yeah.
When was that clear to you? Was that in the first project? Was that down the line?
I think it's always been part of my own DNA, my own approach. So that was definitely something that I wanted to ingrain or establish within the company itself. I like what you used, the word listening, because when you do a lot of talking, you don't hear. And where we, in my opinion, actually excel is we are quite well equipped in active listening to truly understand what's going on. Have the confidence to go into a conversation with either a partner or a chain or whatever, like, guys, we can do this, but in our opinion, the real ask is this. Or if we're going to do A, B, C, in the end of the day, you want to move towards X, Y, and Z. But that has always been part of the company. That's why I try to really be explicit with the post about being proud of playing a second violin. You still need to have the skill set, whether you're a bass player or a violin player or whatever. What I enjoy behind the curtains is more or less dictating the rhythm. Okay. The beautiful thing, I can't sing, so I will never be a lead singer in a band. But to be part, and dictating is not the proper word, enabling a proper flow, that is something that makes me so tremendously proud of what we've done. If you take a look at the numbers, we're doing more than 8,000 integrations on the platform on a daily basis.
We've grown towards how many countries?
85 countries.
Within a very limited time frame. Because we also, when we started Omniboost, there was a different type of idea. So we pivoted. Only the last couple of years, we actually went full on in hospitality. Setting the platform as it is, and yes, and let's be honest, we've got a lot of challenges. We're also facing with a lot of issues, but it's the willingness to also take the one head on and be open, explore, understand. Look probably at what we've done here in the States. Still remember when we get to Belgium, the thing is like, you need to go big or go home. Being Dutch as I was, it's like, okay, we're gonna take it step by step by step. You actually need to go big. That's why I like being in the US so much, because failure here is an option. And you don't need to be ashamed if you make a mistake. Just as long as you're willing, have the strength and the guts to stand up, dust down, and go at it again.
Exactly. I mean, you fail faster, you learn faster.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that
also one of the core variants, right?
Yeah. And I think that's as we continue to grow in this age of connectivity and things like ChatGPT, where we have access to can answer questions faster, right? You might as well Google the internet. Google search is now ChatGPT. We're always looking for perfection, and perfection is the enemy of good, right? And so you need to go ahead and not be afraid to fail and evolve, iterate, and develop. I think that's something that we've built and instilled very well. We're looking at things like a full revenue push, for example, for Avast PNS. It's taken a lot longer to get that out the door. We had a solution, it worked kind of, and then we had to rebuild it to the fact where we rebuilt the whole flow on our platform, completely independent of the systems that we can remove limitations.
Yeah.
But that happened over time, and it happened because we've had amazing end customers and hoteliers, county departments who are willing to give radical candid feedback and work with us to develop it in a way that makes sense and is also usable. And it's amazing because we could have said, hey, this is impossible. And so, this is possible, how we get it to be possible.
Yeah, and also let's be very frank about this one, because we saw a strategic opportunity. So from a business perspective, it also made sense. I think one of the biggest learnings about the full rev push, and that's what we shared during the town hall, is the communication part. So we were the ones who were willing to pick up the challenge, come up with a solution. And that's also, to be honest, took us a bit longer than we expected it to be. But we're still the ones who are putting in a solution out there. And that's why we need to learn, like, okay, and if we reflect back on playing the side of violin, if the orchestra goes out of sync, we get them back in. And that's the same level that we need to do with the communication with partners, with end users, etc. Be more explicit, like, yeah, guys, we're creating a solution. Both listed companies using a very small company to come up with a solution that opens up 10 for them. But we need to be more communicative about those type of things. Like, hey guys, we are a solution. So this is not going to air most likely, but internally we might be able to use.
I mean, I think it could be aired, and it's something that I think is important is in our desire to, part of our core DNA being willingness to serve and our desire of the no ego thing, we sometimes forget to celebrate and highlight where are the things that we are providing solutions to, because we listen. And that's part goes back to the consultative SaaS. And we look at this whole thing at times, we do need to remind ourselves that take a step back, applaud it, be proud of it, but also now they got to go to the work. We got to roll it out. We got to iterate. It's going to continue to change functionality. We're going to continue to grow as we learn. And I think that's something that we sometimes forget to do to ourselves. And something that we want to highlight as we continue to look at 2025 and beyond. That's, highlighting the things that we do extremely well, the solutions that may come up, because that opens up broader opportunities, not only for us and our partners, but for the industry as a whole to improve. And we know hospitality is an industry built on human interaction, but there's so much tech that enables it where it's almost too tech enabled at times, and everything works in silos. And you got to go back to end of the day, when you're in hospitality and you're at a hotel, you're at a restaurant, you're going for an experience, you want that experience, and everything has to work in concert with each other to give you a full-on experience.
Yeah, that's part. Connectivity is a biz. Simultaneously, for the end user, it occurs. So what we, I need to tell you, but what we set out to do is make sure that the end user, again, a chain or whatever, doesn't necessarily have to become a tech company. There are a couple of companies out there, what we've seen during in Portugal, for instance, which made them go like, whoa. But they are capable investing millions and millions doing multi-year type of projects that a lot of our customers can do. But we're offering a similar type of solution. Case little costs, by the way. So that helps.
Yes.
What I meant with, like, if we come up with a solution, we should be able to learn more about the communication parts towards the end users. Like, hey guys, hold your horses. We're fixing this.
Yeah. 1,000%.
Now,
so as a founder, last year you did a lot of traveling. This year, it's already in Q1, you've traveled quite a bit all over. What is the value of you showing up and being present at events and meetings with customers and clients and partners? And why do you put so much pride in being on the forefront and really being out on the road to see everybody as the founder and CEO of the company?
Yeah. So it's not so much about pride. It's more, well, as a founder and a CEO, you represent the company. So I actually want to show commitment. Be there, have the conversation to understand what's truly going on. Be present with a quarterly business review. Again, the word, show the commitment, being there. And what's very important for me is actually to pick up on the chain on the things that are not spoken or unspoken. So for me, nonverbal communication is not only for me, obviously, that's like 80% of the conversation. So let's take an example. If someone is telling me, yeah, Kees, we're most definitely gonna do a deal with you. That's like where I'm like, okay. So this might need some additional work, where as someone is very explicit, but also comes up with like counterpoints or whatever, but shows the enthusiasm and the openness, you immediately pick up on like, okay, this is going to work together. This is a partnership. So that's why I do as much traveling as I do. And from a self-centric perspective, being on a flight is one of the very rare moments that I can catch up on a book and the things that I really want to do, and focus on that.
Yeah. I think it's important for you being out and about, and really shows commitment. It's something that I think a lot of people want to do, and it's easy to talk about, but showing up, being there, being out on the road it's not as easy or as glamorous as people think it is too.
No,
you go to a lot of cool places, but
in the beginning it was. Beginning it was like, woohoo, get to travel. I really think the most important part is your family, your spouse, your children. Be really aligned with them, why you're doing this, what the commitment is. And without their help and support, you will, we're still recording, you will never be able to do this.
Yeah. And it also helps that, your girls love to travel and they get to reap the benefits at times in joining and the status on trips.
Yeah, it's not, again, it's not status, but I think it's more personal. If I need to do one thing as a parent, is make them world citizens, prep them for that. It's not about money they can earn by themselves, but setting the stage, making them comfortable with being a global citizen is essentially the thing that for me personally as a parent, what I set out to do. That's something something that I want them to experience and be out there.
Yeah, I think that's really important, and to see that firsthand for them, but also taking that same kind of commitment to the company of, we are a global company, and we're a company of the world, the globe, and our employees need to understand. We were talking a little bit earlier about culture, right?
Yeah.
Our employees need to understand what it means to work in a market and work with all different types of people and be able to support them and provide the level of unreasonable hospitality that they expect and we want to give. And so I think that I asked that question because it's really interesting, and it's something that's part of the DNA. We've talked about the DNA of this company.
About personal growth.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to do as you continue to grow and scale and get bigger. The more people come, the more complex it is. But at the end of the day, when you stick to that DNA and create the cultures we talked about, it's something that sticks. It's something that I don't think are ever gonna lose sight of, right? And that's something that's really impactful.
Correct. Yeah, the big challenge is with the company growing, actually getting into more like departments and the likes. Yeah, we need to make sensible choices, but I think for every individual within the company, there is an opportunity to grow. There is an opportunity to travel. There's an opportunity to learn. I think the most important thing what we, as leaders of this company, need to do is let people grow.
Mm-hmm. And when you let people grow, that also means letting them make mistakes, which is sometimes hard for a company to do. But we talked earlier, fail fast, learn faster, and that ideation of we're going to learn, we're going to put things out, we're going to grow, we're going to iterate. It's something that you have to allow to happen from an employee level.
Yeah.
And provide opportunities for growth. And that's something that I think is super, super important. And one thing I do think we do pretty well, we obviously have room to grow and get better with our own internal processes, but it's something that I do see and believe that we will continue to do well and open up opportunities for people to work in a company, even out of a small town in Terneuzen, with the world. And that's something that I think is so amazing for our teams.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So when we think about the next stage, when we talk about Omniboost going into the second half of the year and driving stuff forward.
Oh. Hi. Q1 just ended, so we've got 3 quarters still left.
Well, I'm taking into account the rest of 2023.
Okay.
What are you most excited for? What are the things that you are, as the founder, as CEO, that you're really looking forward to? Like, I cannot wait for X to happen. I can't wait for these things to start playing out.
A lot of things. What you actually mentioned is being a startup out of the city, out of Terneuzen, out of a very small provincial town, is not being in Amsterdam or whatever, but seeing our organization to develop and grow, where we are being certified with some big fucking logos. Won't do any name dropping here, but it's definitely worthwhile keeping us very close and understand what we're doing. There's some big plays coming up. That fills me with, it's like, I like the challenge. So it's being out there and to yet evolve the stack even further. So I think that's the thing that I'm looking forward to most. Yeah.
I think it's going to be exciting with some of the stuff that we've got going on, not just from the connectivity layer, but from the unification layer. As we look at bringing in more functionality, we have an episode with Michel Melsa, the best kept secret with our data insights, and some of the stuff that we're building out with that team and capabilities from data warehouse all the way through visualization. There's just so much more and untapped potential in what unification means for hospitality. And that's what I'm excited about. We were just at a few conferences and there's so much talk about AI and ML. And a lot of people are working with it, but it's a buzzword. And when you look at it, it's basic automation. It's not really leveraging. It's maybe leveraging a tool here or there. And I think that we're still on the cusp of seeing what AI can really do within the systems of hospitality. And it's something that I think is going to be really fun to see play out. But it's just kind of fun walking through these conferences and you hear people talk about it, but you know that they're not really talking about AI. They're using the buzzword and they're kind of bullshitting and not really getting into the deeps on it. And it's something that I know we've built a layer around automation. And the next level is taking that with AI, with ML, and really starting to do predictive stuff. But that's still a ways off. That still takes time, takes energy, takes effort. But it's something that I'm excited for as we continue to evolve our products down the line to do really cool things. However that's going to look and feel as we iterate and grow is something that excites me as well in terms of just what we can do from a functionality standpoint.
Yeah. What you were sharing about the AI part, it's quite obvious that everybody needs to be part of that gameplay because AI is here.
Yeah.
AI is going to expand, evolve. It's going to do that one, well, freaking fast. Being the biggest fan of AI, a bit doubtful from a technical perspective, gets me super excited. From, let's say, impact on humankind, it's a bit vague, but it's also something that we need to be mindful of. So that's the cool thing about hospitality. It's human interaction. And I also agree with you from that perspective. If you don't do a proper data purification or curation, it's shit in, shit out. So you're going to feed the models with incorrect data. So yeah, that's bound to end up in a shit show. Again, solid business case for us.
Absolutely. And the last question I'll ask, because I know you got to jump on another plane here soon, but when you're thinking about Omniboost, who we are and where we're going, what are the things that come to mind? What are a few words that come to your mind when you think about the next chapter of Omniboost?
Excitement, obviously growth, new perspectives, new insights, bigger plays, a lot of learnings, also internally. But Rob, you're always asking the questions. Yeah, so I'm actually quite curious about your journey. So you're our Chief Commercial Officer. You're dealing with a lot of things. There's quite of a big responsibility on your shoulders as well, doing the growth. So what are your insights, your takeaways, your learnings?
That's a great question. There's quite a few things. I think one key learning, especially in the last, I'd say 6 to 9 months, is when we talk about unification and connectivity, understanding what that means.
Yeah.
And especially from the market's perspective, and really highlighting and showing what we can do from a connectivity layer first, unification layer second.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we talk about connectivity and unification as buzzwords, but really understanding connectivity being your automation of an output, right? The PMS to accounting. Once you have connectivity, then the unification can really start to happen because you can feed other systems. And that's where we have this insights play, right? And feeding a warehouse where you can add levels of visualization, levels of reporting, levels of additional data that when collected properly through connectivity can be used for so much more.
Yeah.
And everybody wants a data warehouse, data lake. Everyone wants to have data and they want to use it, but no one really knows where to start. And the key learning is we have a unique position in the market and a unique skill set where we can actually educate. And this goes back to consultative stuff. We can educate what connectivity means and why connectivity matters first, and then what unification means alongside of it. And bringing that picture full cycle where we can actually work with a partner to provide step-by-step into that. And everybody wants it, but no one really knows how to get it. And they can connect systems and this and that. But when you really understand what connectivity is, as a hotelier, is a big management company, or as an individual restaurant, it opens the door to so much more. And that's something that I don't think we've done a great job. We're working on it, doing a good job is educating that, is sharing all this. We talk about learnings, and you just highlighted all these learnings that we're going to continue to have. We've had so many learnings through this journey that we need to continue to share. And that's what opens up so many amazing things. And that to me is what I think the biggest thing that I've learned, and something that I want to continue to highlight and drive forward as we work with amazing partners in our vendor network. I wouldn't call them vendors, I call them partners in our channel partnerships, into our direct customers with big hotel chains and management companies. We've got some amazing, we have anything from a single hotel to hotel groups of 7, 20, 30, 100, 200 plus. And every one of them have a different unique challenge, but they all struggle basic connectivity and then unification.
Yeah, okay.
And highlighting that is something that we need to continue to do and leverage our experience.
But taking the subject then a bit further, you're also responsible for our marketing, setting the right narrative. So what's your biggest challenge there? Because let's use the example what we learned in Portugal. Like the traditional companies are calling us like an enterprise service bus, which that's language or lingo that we never use.
Yeah.
So can you explain to the audience, like, what's your challenge there? Because we are a company, we are a bit of, well, we like to be a bit of a rebel, like go against the grain. But how does that also tie into more like traditional or focus points, the message that we really want to bring across?
Yeah. I think part of the challenge in the front end was the fact that we do so many things. We have over 330 plus software combinations. Right now we have over 3,000 hotels on our platform, and I think it's around 2,500 restaurants utilizing our platform every day. So there's a lot that we could talk about and cover. And what I think we at 10 times, you either look at us as middleware, which is kind of not sexy, right? That's why we built the platform and much more out of that. We heard enterprise service and
buzz.
Yeah. So, but I think the challenge has been is where do we start and where do we highlight? And so what we did, and we talked about changing the narrative. That's this year is really finding that narrative and that brand voice. And there's kind of 3 key themes that we came up with. 1, second violin, which resonates so well. We talked about earlier. I like to use the bass guitar because I used to have the long hair, right, versus the violin. But either way, it's that, being that second violin and really establishing and enabling rhythm. Another one is consultative SaaS. I think that's what we do really well, and highlighting that from our messaging standpoint and talking about the solutions that we do provide.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the last one? The Lord of the Rings reference. The one unification platform to enable them all.
Yeah.
Right. And we know that we do a lot of things around unification. We enable a lot of things. Where do we start? Like, where do we share in the ecosystem of what we can do? And I think that's something we're really working on, creating the content and the stories and the narrative around those 3 key pillars allows us to get really tactical with what we want to discuss, what we want to share. We have the podcast for a reason. That's long. That's something that we can do, and it's more of the full industry play. And then we have the micro content, and this is what we need to get really good at telling our story within the amazing solutions that we provide and the way that we open up market opportunity, not just for ourselves, but for our partners, opening up something like 60 plus million for a partner and TAM, telling those stories and highlighting those stories and leveraging our customers and our partners with great testimonials and conversations and opening those veins of really getting good. And it's really easy to create all this stuff long form, but creating it as micro content, we know that you only have 8 seconds to capture attention. Mm-hmm. So creating that micro content, how do you tell that story and all these things in a short clip? And that's something that we are really working on, focusing on this year. And short bursts, really getting tactical about what we do, the solutions we provide in our story, and tying it to those 3 key pillars.
Okay, cool. That's kind of a challenge. Also, last question is being the American football player that you are, being the coach, the player. Actually, you played quite high yourself. Thanks for this, because you definitely hooked me up to the game, and I became like a huge fan. Started being subscribing on Desert, following everything. We talked about the edges from Brady. That really resonated with me. Is what's your take on this? Being the team player and actually having played the real game.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, and for those that are out there, by the time this drops, there's going to be an article written by you called The Edgers. Definitely go check out the blog. It's really interesting. I absolutely love it, and I think it's really easy for everyone in today's day and age. Like we talk about being the lead singer, you want to be the quarterback, you want to be the receiver that scores, catches all the touchdowns, you want to be the dude,
or the man,
or dudette, or the one, however you want to highlight it.
Oh yeah, shit.
No, I think it's important that you don't always have to be, and if you remove the fact that you have to be the known versus how do I make an impact, and I always like to look at us, if we use the second violin and a position on the field, on an American football field, it'd be the center.
Yeah.
The center snaps the ball. They lead the line of scrimmage, and it's their job to establish the rhythm of the game. And that's why it resonates so much with me, is that I played offensive and defensive line. Offensive line, what we called it, was always the dirty work, because you're the lunch pail crew. It's why I use chop wood, carry water, all gas and brakes, as our commercial mottos, right? Is that it's about showing up. And I think the Edgers in that mentality is showing up every day, knowing that you got to put in the work. And some days are good days, some days are bad days, but every day is a chance to make an impact, whether that's one check off your checklist or 20. And when you know that the goal is not to be the one, and you're coming in to do your job and you take pride in the work that you do, and the whole team is bought into that, that's when magic happens. That's when you see the game at a different level and things flow so beautifully.
That's actually what you saw happening, right? With the Patriots. They were dominating the game. And then at some point, started losing. And I love the analogy of the edges and take it into a business perspective, because you need to change. They were being so confident in winning that losing actually was like, what the F is happening here? And then showing up, doing the extra work, holding each other accountable, not in a negative way, but all in the essence to grow towards the team play again and then start winning again. That's like proper evolution.
Absolutely. And it's something that it's easy to forget when things are going well, what it's like when things aren't going well. And when things aren't going well, it's easy to have
those are the pivotal moments, aren't they?
Absolutely. And it's
the critical moments, not the pivotal.
Pivotal, pivotal, critical or pivotal or both. It's really easy to have a woe is me mentality and feel down about it. And what the Patriots did in that era, and I know that I don't love talking about the Patriots as a Chiefs fan, and I know that you brought this up for that reason.
Yes, I did.
But what you see is that collective willingness to everyone to buy in.
Yeah.
And as a company grows, we see this happen all the time. You get excited about the company, but sometimes you don't always know or feel bought in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to find those moments and cultivate the buy-in. And that's why I love that we did the all hands. That was something that you could feel the palpable energy of people buying in again. Not saying that people weren't not bought in, but you could feel that energy of a common thread, a common mission. And that's something that, as we look at the challenge of the marketing and we look at all the things that we're doing and changing the narrative, that's what I've kind of deemed the commercial team this year when we talk about sales, marketing, and brand, changing the narrative, highlighting what we do well, not doing it from a place of ego and being like, look at what Rob Napoli did, but look at what Omniboost does. Yes. Not look at what Kees Zorge is doing. It's what is the Zorge? What is the Omniboost as a team doing?
Yeah.
And that to me is so exciting. And that's where we're building around and continue to establish. And this is the idea of establishing rhythm. And we take it back. See, this is why we choose these core themes, right? We take it back to establish rhythm. How can we establish rhythm externally if we don't establish rhythm internally?
Yep.
And it's a chain reaction. And so that's where I see all these things kind of playing in and why we're putting so much effort. And it is a challenge. It's a challenge because there's so much we need to do.
It's also fun, isn't it?
I mean, I love the challenge and the chaos. It's, bet against me and watch what happens. And, I think that's we talk about Omniboost going against the grain. That's always been kind of a little bit of our, you can call it our ego a little bit, our ethos.
Yeah, in a positive way. Ethos. I think ethos is better.
Bet against us and see what happens. We may mess up a time or two.
We will.
I mean, we're going to. It's proven, and that's life. But we're always going to come back with learning.
We learn, we adapt, and come up with a solution.
Yeah, and so for me, it's hand in hand, and it's the exciting piece of what we have in 2025. It's the exciting piece of what we have with Omniboost, of what we've built. And I always talk about Omniboost, who we are, and who we will be are two different things. But in between, there's always going to be a connected thread of our DNA. And that's why it's really important and impactful to share these stories and highlight them and talk about them in different ways. It's easy to talk about it in a tech aligned view and buzzword after buzzword, but you got to come at it from different ways. The second violin, the edgers, these things allow us to.
That's also why we're sometimes struggling with the buzzwords and the name dropping because it's not us. It does serve a purpose, by the way, because it helps us being recognized as a valuable partner. And what we also saw happening, 24 was a good year for us. And not a lot of startups do the similar type of growth rates that we're showing. But we also need to be frank, we set out to do more. That's why I asked you about the edgers. It's like, what I like most seeing from the team is actually go into the gym, do the additional work, grow together as a team. And then 2025, fuck yeah, game on.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty, right? Innovation comes from everywhere and everyone. And we started the conversation of how interns feel the need to step up and share. And when you create that culture and that mentality and that effort level across the board, that accountability, good things are going to happen. And it makes us even more excited for what 2025 is going to bring, and just even more excited to show up each and every day. So
stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot more coming. appreciate you for jumping in. I know that we've been wanting to do more founder talks and just talk behind the scenes. I think it's really important. And for those out there listening, for y'all to understand a little bit of who we are. Yes, we're a rocket ship and we're growing and doing all these cool things, but it's not without its challenges. It's not without us learning internally. And we want to be able to highlight that to y'all to understand who we are and what we're doing and why we continue to love being the glue in this space and enabling all the systems to create a better hospitality.
Sure.
Until next episode, we'll see you soon.
This is Rob Napoli signing off.